This is the presentation of my paper. You are going to listen to it. I'm not much of a public speaker. I prefer to dance. I prefer to dance. The relation between dance and communication makes us consider those between the dancer and the audience. What is the place of the dancing body in the mass media landscape? What is the place of the audience in the space between the stage and the seat? The notions of choreography, participation and imagination present themselves as starting points to think on what contemporary dance is telling us from its own place in the art field. In order to do so, I decided to revisit the work of Yoko Ono and her notion of dance as presented in her book, Grapefruit. In this book, performative actions are almost always participatory in it. Ono offers a number of instructions to the participants, who can find words inviting them to engage into actions. Such words are the hinge between individual creativity and the possibility of a dialectical relationship with others, including objects. The instructions lead to the performative action of others, regardless of the presence of the artist-author. I attempt to explore Ono's work focusing on an understanding of her approach to dance as a participatory way to embrace the political sphere in art. The dance chapter in Grapefruit is offered as an aesthetic and political proposal which allows an understanding of the use of instructions in dance as a re-articulation of the relation between dancing bodies, audiences and spectators, and the possibility to assume imagination and participation as liberation tools in dance practice. The presence of figures such as Yvonne Rainer, who participated in Ono's work, helped her to define a particular understanding of dance practices. Everyday movement can be understood and thought of as a practice in everyday life. Dance movements include basic movements which, when related to Ono's instructions, relocate of dance out the aesthetic regime of dance technique. In Ono's work there are no ballet positions or athletic movements to follow, but pedestrial movements which open up the possibility to encourage an approach to dance from the uniqueness of the body. In pedestrial movements there is some precariousness, an uncertain repertoire of movements that express vulnerability. The use of instructions in Ono's Grapefruit is inscribed in an aesthetic proposal and a linguistic one as well. By providing the dancer with dance instructions instead of scores, Ono establishes an operation in language. The shift of changing from score into instruction implies the proposal of not only an aesthetic transformation but also a semiotic and semantic one. Semantic because it changes the meaning of the word instruction as often used in other fields, and semiotic because the whole communicative burden of an instruction is shifted from the need to adhere to a given series of steps into the possibility to add personal elements into a choreographic proposal. Ono's proposal of what I call impossible instructions imply the possibility of a new organization of the body, in which the mind activates a dance piece in them. There is only a need for someone who can imagine something. This might eventually lead to an understanding of imagination as a score on its own, able to move bodies in non-previously mapped coordinates. In imagined dance performance there is not virtuosity involved, but instead a possibility for movement. What is being proposed is an operation of the imaginary on the body, allowing the latter to perform and move in unexpected ways. Fiction, as in ideological discourse, is often a tool for the exchange and distribution of commodities, determined by the logic of mass consumption, but here the potentiality of the embodiment of imagination is a tool to grasp a possible re-articulation of the body itself. The use of imagination in dance instructions has a recurrent presence in Chapter 7 here. The notion of imagination in Ono's work enables the shift that goes from the univocal importance of the movement exclusively from and in the body to also the mind, making it the possible main character of dance as well, even if its role is imaginary, fictional, or rather precisely because of that. Ono even proposes a dance performance in the dark, placing the dancing body out of the logic of the visible. By placing the object out of the spectacle scene, the author refuses to be visible in the context of hyperexposure, but makes its proposal visible. We could be here being presented with in words of Jacques Rancière, a redistribution of the sensible in which, by activating a dance piece in the dark, the place of the performer and the audience are reinterpreted. Performance is moved out of the regime of the spectacle, and artwork is being taken out of the sphere of surveillance. Ono presents things but is detached from their everyday common use. The presence of things responds to the necessity to disrupt the use and understanding of objects as commodities in artwork and, along with it, the utilitarian approach to their presence. Heidegger's understanding of the thing allows to approach conceptually Ono's inclusion of things in her instructions. In them, instructions do not even create a dance piece, nor an artwork, nor a commodity, but a given experience. Understood as things, Ono's elements included in her instructions do not have an instrumental value or function determined by the dynamics of commodification. I would like to stress out that, as Randy Martin explained, dance occurs through forces applied to the body that yield to them only to generate powers of their own. Dance generates the sense of being in the midst of a crisis. A break, a rupture, even a loss and a prospect at the same time. Ono's dance instructions transform the dialectic relationship of the traditional distinction between the audience and the artist. By introducing participatory practices, Ono's politics, as Mark Franco says, are not located directly in dance, but in the way dance manages to occupy space. Her particular approach to dance is to be understood as a matter of aesthetic and political resistance. All along Chapter 7, Ono invites people to take part of the action. This clearly shows Ono's interest in offering people the possibility to have an active role in art making. This is the moment in which emancipation begins. Ono's dance instructions are a rearticulation of the commonly assumed grounds that separate the roles between passive and active. Stage and seats. Dancers and choreographers. By following Ono's dance instructions, performers do not experience the same kind of representational movement which is to be found in the kind of dance that works with scores. Instructions, instead, imply no commands nor obedience, and the dancer is rather encouraged to be the agent of its own choices, grasping its own dance practice.